What's up, guys? Max Finn here. Now, this might be a somewhat controversial video. I'm going to give you a little warning there. Probably by the title of this video, you thought it's somewhat controversial. And before you jump to conclusions, I want to explain myself here because I don't want this to be a kind of criticism video of AI or criticism video of ChatGPT or OpenAI or the future because it's really cool. I think 4.0 when it comes, I think there's like the potential over the next decade 20 34. I mean it's massive, right? So this video is not undermining the potential magnitude of what is being developed right now, but it's really to kind of, I think, one, temper expectations. I think it's being hyped up massively, so I think that's one thing. And two, also to not ignore other big opportunities. I think that ends up happening sometimes where one thing really blows up, everyone gets so hyper focused on this one thing, and you let your guard down on like, what are some other really big things, if not bigger things, that are coming, and I think will be more mainstream in a closer, kind of nearer future than this. So basically, let's backtrack here. And as always, guys, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get all my videos. Now that that's done, let's dive in. So let's share some stats here on ChatGPT, because that's the purpose of this video, is talking about ChatGPT, and then specifically why I think there's a little too much hype about it, some of the limitations that I've seen and that I think there's going to be in the near future, and then something that I think is going to be bigger over the next year to 2 years that a lot of people are sleeping on. There's not a lot of tweets about, there's not a lot of social media content about, there's not a lot of YouTube videos about, which I think is a big mistake. So let's start first with this. So looking at kind of ChatGPT stats at a glance, and it's impressive. Launched 30th November 2022. It crossed the 1 million user mark within a week of its launch. That is really, really, really impressive. 1 million users in 1 week is absolutely insane. Obviously, they're getting so much user growth, so much activity. The site's down all the time. They're constantly trying to keep it up. Got $1 billion from Microsoft, so massive investment, which again, smart. Microsoft's been trying to compete with Google for a long time with Bing. Bing's picked up some momentum over the last few years, is getting more ad revenue, but this is a smart move from Microsoft to get in on what many people believe is kind of the future of search, and what'll supersede and what'll kind of replace search going forward is these kind of new AI tools being developed by companies like OpenAI. And obviously, Alphabet has their own version of it they're developing. So there's some of the stats. These are some other interesting ones down here. OpenAI predicts we'll be able to generate a revenue of $1 billion by the end of 2024. That's pretty massive for a brand new company, and basically like a year and a half, 2 years to be able to hit $1 billion in revenue. Unclear how they're actually going to generate revenue, because I think the model there is very different in terms of ad revenue. It's not going to be like search ads. So I don't know what the business model actually will look like. That'll be interesting. Maybe I'll do a future video talking about some ways they could do that. And then 200 million revenue by the end of this year, which that is also impressive. So basically, they're making no money today. They expect to be have 200 million in revenue in basically 11 months. So really, really impressive there. Okay, so that's ChatGPT. That's this, kind of first, this kind of MVP being rolled up. That's kind of getting people really excited about the potential for AI and GPT-3. GPT-4 is coming apparently. I'm not an expert in this stuff, but just from what I've heard, within probably a year or 2 years, maybe even shorter than that. And apparently that's like hundreds of times more powerful. So it's going to be game changing in terms of what people are excited about now, what that can do. And if you've been on Twitter, I've gotten really big into Twitter again lately. If you've been on Twitter specifically, but also just any social media platform, you've probably have seen tweets, or LinkedIn specific. LinkedIn's another one. You've probably seen LinkedIn carousel posts of, ChatGPT prompts and things to ask ChatGPT and how ChatGPT is going to change this and change this and change this. My feed is like, sometimes it feels like it's 80-90% of the posts are about ChatGPT. And listen, I get it. It is exciting. It's new. It's a big change, right? Like when TikTok started blowing up and I talked about TikTok, like that was exciting. People were excited about it because it's a new ad platform and stuff, but like it wasn't transformative, right? It was just another social media company, just another ad platform. This is, transformative. This is a whole new piece of technology that we've never really seen before. It's doing things that have never been done before, at least to most people in the public. And the applications of it are massive. And so the excitement is somewhat justified. What I think should be talked about here, though, is like a lot of people that I've seen writing are about this topic. One, I think it literally released, it launched on November 30th. There's no way anybody out there is like an expert. Like, it's still so new. You basically have like a month and a half. If you start using this day one, you're basically like 5, 6 weeks that you've been using this. And even if you're using it day and night, like, nobody has a lot of experience with this. Everybody talking about it is basically starting from the same place. It's like you're 1 inch from the starting line. If you kind of zoom out and look at, like, how long it takes to be an expert at something, 10,000 hours or so. Nobody's even close to that right now. So I think you got to take everyone's content with a grain of salt there of how much experience they have. When I started doing like TikTok stuff, when I started putting a lot of TikTok, I didn't start doing that until I probably spent 7 to 9 months on the platform when we were in alpha and then beta, and I spent over $1 million by that point before I even started really talking about it. So I think it's important to wait to start really talking about something as an expert until you have experience with something. But whatever, that's cool. I think it's exciting, and I've shared some stuff about it, like how I think it's cool. What I think is people need to kind of pull back on a little bit is this discussion that it's like it's going to change everything in the near future. I think that's the part that people are getting a little ahead of themselves. It's kind of like when VR started. Like, I remember the early days of VR. I remember being in San Francisco, going to a few different like demo labs and like signing NDAs and testing some stuff back in 2016, 2017, like a while ago. And there was a lot of talk then, like, this is going to change everything. It's changed the world. And I still think in the future VR could, right? But like, people were saying it's going to happen in 2018, 2019, 2020 is the year. And it takes a long time. Like, we are, as marketers, as tech people, as people living in the startup culture that we all live in. If you're watching my channel, if you're like, we live in this weird bubble where we're always on the cutting edge. We're always trying stuff, testing stuff. We're early adopters. Most people aren't that, right? The vast majority of the population is kind of middle and late adopters on stuff. And so, like, ChatGPT and AI mainstream consumer adoption, it's not going to happen next month. Probably it's not going to happen this year, next year, or the year after. Like, it's going to take a while before it's going to take companies like Google and all these big companies start rolling out mainstream products for it, right? So I think there's this belief that it's like this is going to change everything right away, and that's just not the case. Or even not even right away, but like really soon. I also think it's not the case. There's still so much that needs to be done, so much that needs to be improved on these tools. There's still so much effort that needs to go in to get really value out of it. So that's one thing. The other thing specific on the marketing front, and there's a lot of conversation about how this is going to replace all these jobs. And I got to be honest, even me, I've had lots of deep conversations over the years with friends and people in the industry, people that like I know that are really brilliant developers and really plugged into the tech community or the government and stuff about AI and in the next 50 to 100 years, like, obviously it's supercomputers and stuff. Like, there's going to be quantum computing, like computers, AI, it's going to be so good, like, yes, jobs will get replaced. There's this massive discussion, like, does this replace everything? Does it replace every job on the planet? And I think it's easy when you're in the moment, when new technology is emerging, to think that's going to be the case. The problem, though, is we don't see all the other things that are going to open up because of that, right? Like, when Henry Ford was doing the assembly line and the auto, all this stuff, like, if you were back then, you thought like this is going to put all these people out of work, whether it was, that or the printing press or the internet or the computer or the smartphone, right? Every time there's these kind of transformational technologies or inventions or innovations, there's this belief that it's like everyone's going to lose their job. But no, people adapt and there's whole new jobs. Like, if you had said 50 years ago that most people would be working jobs that don't actually require them, they're not actually making anything. Like, most jobs today are informational jobs. Like, people are working on computers. They're writing code. They're on phones. Like, there's so many people that are doing things that you wouldn't even think needed to be done a long time ago, right? Or even 30, 40 years ago. So, kind of getting back to the point, I think, and I didn't have a plan with this video, by the way. This is like a topic I've been like really thinking about, and just had to press record and wanted to chat a little about it. So with the marketing stuff, there's just a lot of people are saying like, this is going to replace copywriting, and this is going to replace, this job and this job and this job. I think what people need to remember is AI and what's being developed is really, really good, and it will get way better at certain tasks where it needs to analyze massive quantities of data and create things from that data, right? So it's, hey, here's all of this research. Tell me this or give me that, right? It's way better than humans at computing stuff, right? At processing information, at approaching things logically and based purely on data. And so, of course, there are going to be certain tasks and things that's going to do better than humans. I think what a lot of us forget, and this has already been happening in the marketing world, if you're in the paid advertising world, the ad platforms for years now have already, every year, they're making, the hacks and the tactics and the little things here and there less and less valuable. The bidding tactics and the scaling tactics and things like it's already happening that way. The platforms are making it more basic and they're taking more and more of the control of the actual media buying process. And what that's meant over the last year specifically, especially with the emergence of TikTok, is that things like creative, things like your ideas, your marketing angles, those things, understanding emotional triggers, understanding the human you're talking to, be able to create compelling copy and compelling creative that speaks to that individual at an emotional and personal level, that's more important than ever. And that's something that I just don't think in the very near future, maybe one day, I'm sure one day, definitely one day, but like, is that 10 years, 20 years, 50 years from now? There will be AI. So I just saw the movie Megan, it's M3GAN last night with my wife. And it was like this crazy advanced AI robot that was just like looked really human and acted human. Like I'm sure that'll happen at some point. But like right now, what you get with ChatGPT when you say like write me 10 opening hooks or do X, Y, and Z, like that's not like that's not good stuff. Like I've read a lot of the stuff that people have shared from ChatGPT, and it's like it's okay, right? And sure, it can get better the more data you feed it, the better the prompt is. Sure, it'll get better. The challenge though is like at scale, if everybody is using this tool, everybody's going to get similar results. Everyone's going to get similar hooks and similar ad ideas and similar, scripts and like it's so what you're going to have is basically a bunch of marketers being lazy and just letting ChatGPT or these tools do most of the creative work for them, and they're going to get mediocre creative, right? You're not going to come up with some game-changing, brilliant, unique, novel idea by asking a computer for it. At least right now. And again, everything I'm saying is in context, right? Like because of course the stuff's going to get better and better and better, and eventually it's going to be able to have so much information and understand things like emotion. Like, but right now it doesn't. Right now it's predictive. It's like here's lots of data. I'm going to give the best prediction of what's next, right? And so I think there's this over reliance on technology. Sometimes there's this over reliance that our industry has on tools, on hacks, on software, on things because it takes a lot of the hard. We don't want to do the hard work. And the reality is that at least for me, and again, take it with a grain of salt. Like our biggest wins have been and continue to be in our media buying, in all of our performance business, our agents business, everything we do, info business, from coming up with super unique ideas for campaigns and ads and videos and copy that are so personal. Like they're so unique, so personal. There'd be no way we could have come up with that through a ChatGPT prompt because it doesn't, unless you can download your brain, your conscious, your thoughts, your memories into it. It can't connect those things. It can't connect those dots. It doesn't understand your consumer. It doesn't understand. Again, you try feeding all of this data. You could try that, but again, that's like a massive amount of work and it's not good enough yet. But like, it doesn't understand every detail about your customer. If you've been running your business for years and years and years, you know your customer. You know every little detail about them, not just the basic stuff of their income and age and gender breakdown and location and hobbies and things, but you understand based on years of data, like these are when I say these things, or when I hit on these things, or when I'm polarizing over here, or when I mention these topics, this resonates, this doesn't resonate. You're pulling so much experiential data, historical data, and then you're using your own thoughts, your own emotions, in your own creativity, in coming up with future things. And so I think that's the area where in the near future, I don't see that being replaced. Sure, I think if you want to use these tools as a starting point, and I've seen several people that I trust and like and respect talk about it in this context, I think that's great. If you want to use these tools as a kind of, hey, here's an outline, here's like a starting point that you can then build on and make it way better, that's cool. But unfortunately, what's happening, and this happens anytime experts and people get it, influencers get into the space and start talking about stuff, is a lot of the kind of newbies, and which is the masses, get into it and they think they're like, I just need this thing and I just do it and I just put it in my ad and I run it. That's what's going to happen. So you're going to have a lot of people looking at these tools as like, I ask it for 10 hooks. It gives me 10 hooks. I go right over to TikTok and say the exact hook without making modifications, changes, alterations. And that's not going to work. That's not going to get you good results. That's not going to get you good results today, tomorrow, next year, the year after. So there's still a massive need for creativity. There's still a massive need for the human element when it comes to marketing. Because again, this isn't a intelligent, aware entity. It's just code, right? It's not human. And when we're talking about marketing, marketing is a human thing. It's talking to other people, triggering emotions, understanding at deep personal levels what motivates them, what drives them, what do they want, right? And how can I position my product or service in the best possible way to get them excited to accomplish their wants and needs with my product, right? So that's my thoughts on ChatGPT right now. Again, amazing, cool stuff. I play with it all the time. I love new tech. I think there's a lot of great applications for it. I think if you're using it as a research tool, if you're using it as a tool to give you kind of a starting point that you spend a lot of time building on, awesome. If you are thinking that it's going to solve all your problems and it's going to make you a better marketer and you can just use the hooks and the ad scripts that it gives you, you're going to fail. Okay. Now, the other part of this video, and I went a little longer than I thought I was going to, but the other part of this video is I want to talk about something I think like a lot of it's interesting that a lot of people are not talking about this. They're not talking about what Apple's doing. I think it's interesting for like Apple is such a good company, like massive iconic brand, some of the best marketing in history, but they are great at like not being talked about when they don't want to be talked about. And so like they've been just stealthily building stuff the last few years, and most people have just not been talking about it or aware about it, which I think is crazy because it's consistently one of the biggest companies on the planet in history, and they basically control how a massive chunk of the population not just communicates with each other, but like interacts with all their other favorite companies, right? You want to watch your Netflix, you want to watch your Disney Plus, you want to go on your Facebook app, your Instagram, your TikTok. A lot of people need this device to do all of that, right? So they're so powerful. So two things they've been doing the last few years that I think it's going to be really big this year. It's going to be way bigger 2024, 2025, but this is like happening now and people should be thinking about it now because it's massive. One is just their continued move into the ad business, right? Like it is crazy how big they've been getting when it comes to advertising stealthily, really behind the scenes. So like this is Financial Times. They've quadrupled hiring it between 2022 and today for their ad business. They plan to nearly double the workforce. It's fastest growing digital advertising business less than 18 months after it introduced sweeping privacy changes. The iPhone maker has about 250 people on its ad platform team, according to LinkedIn. According to Apple's career website, it's looking to fill another 216 roles. It's looking to double its ad department, almost quadruple the 56 it was hiring in late 2020. So Apple is, this article in Wired, Apple's an ad company now. I think we are going to see, this is the way Apple plays a lot of things, by the way. If you followed Apple for as long as I have, I've been a huge Apple fan. I had the first iPhone in 2007. I've had every iPhone that's ever come out, every iPad, every Mac. I'm a huge Apple person, right? So fanboy. I know. Listen, if you're watching, it's like Apple's not the best. This like you're just like the brand. Yeah, they got me. I'm in their ecosystem, right? So I even have two pairs of AirPods up here because they don't switch back and forth well. So I have one for my phone, one for my computer. Okay, so Apple has a history. Every time they come out with a new iPhone, a new iOS, what happens? Every time they basically look at who are like the best, like who has apps that people love on the iPhone that are really useful that we can just do way better. We can either acquire them or just do them way better ourselves and roll them out to iOS next update. So whether it's like they bought, I think it was like Dark Sky a few years ago. It was like one of the best weather apps. They bought it and they just closed it down actually, I think this week, and rolled out now their update to their weather app. Their weather app now is like way better than when it started, right? They did the same thing with like putting out Foursquare out of business. They've done like every year they put out like these companies maybe were $10 million, $100 million, some $1 billion companies put out of business because they just roll out their own native feature on iPhone that's better. or at least more convenient, and then it gets better. And so Apple has a history of doing this. They kind of sit back and they just watch and they study and they look at, what do people love right now? What do consumers love right now? What are they using right now? What are the best apps out there? What's the best software out there? What's the best tool out there? Best service out there, right? Okay, that. Let's do that, and let's do it way better, right? So whether it's, like I talked about, I did a TikTok months ago about how their Apple is kind of proof that you don't need to be first to market to win. First mover advantage, I think, is a big load of crap, and so yeah, one second actually. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. We had my wife's coming home. We have a bunch of people coming over, so it's the car's coming. The dogs are crazy, and she's having a coffee. So I was like, I pause the video, run downstairs, grab a coffee. But it's longer than expected video. So back to the point here. We'll kind of wrap things up. Apple has this history of, hey, we're waiting back. We release, we enter the market. We're not first movers. We're kind of later to the market, and we just do it better and bigger. And again, you could argue whether it's some people that aren't Apple fanboys or even Apple fans. They don't do better. Just look at the numbers, right? That's all I'm saying. It's like, look at the iPad numbers, look at the iPhone numbers, look at the AirPod numbers, look at the, Mac number. Mac's never been big, but like still very, very, really, really strong numbers. And so with their ad business, I think we're going to see that continue to grow and expand, and take more and more market share, especially as they're able to kind of like on one side, and this is, I'm not a fan of this. I think this is kind of shady, but they're able to over here hamper the efforts of their competition on the ad side by making it harder with ATT and stuff for Meta and Snap and TikTok and Twitter to make their ad platforms good. They basically sabotage their ad platforms over here and say, hey guys, come over here. You can do whatever you want because we own all the data. We own the whole ecosystem. But that's the reality. Now, on top of that, beyond the ad business, this goes to the final kind of capping it off, is Apple has been working on a AR VR headset for a long time. And so this actually is a leak. I don't know what this is going to look at. This just came out like the other week on macrumors.com. Very controversial. We'll see, right? But like there's a lot of data coming out about it. A lot of very, very specific details. This is getting very close to a reality, getting very close to rolling out this year to the public. Now, whether it actually goes on sale this year or it's just announced this year, that's debatable. But like the technology is getting really, really good. So this is one of the companies that makes a glass, like the actual lens, and it actually fits. So like the Z lens can fit in regular size pair of glasses. So like this is really, really cool. And again, like we talk about VR taking a long time to get adoption, like AR is going to be much quicker to get mass adopted because it's less intrusive and it's not changing lifestyle. It's not saying just sit at home, do nothing, be lazy, and just live in this bubble like Ready Player One. It's like, no, keep living your life. We're going to add a layer on top of it. So you don't have to look at your phone anymore and keep looking down. You can just keep existing, and we'll just add all the stuff on top of it. And one of the rumors from Mac Rumors was that they'll instantly day one be able to run existing iOS apps in 2D on the Air glasses. So a huge advantage that Apple has is they can pull already all the apps right into this new hardware. So anyway, AR. I think, and again, Apple is not 100% success rate when they enter new markets, but they usually do pretty good. I think Apple releases AR, announces this year, maybe goes on sale end of the year for the holidays or next year. I think it's a home run. I think it gets mass adopted. Consumers adopt AR in a massive way. I think Samsung gets in the game. I think Google gets in the game. I think everyone starts getting in the game because Apple makes it mainstream. And that is a game changer. I think that is a short-term game changer when it comes to advertising. And everyone should be aware of that because listen, we have been used to for the last, decade plus creating ads in a kind of two-dimensional screen-based environment. All of the ads we've created, everyone watching this video, pretty much all the ads you've ever created have been in a Facebook ad or a Google ad or something where it's, hey, you're creating an ad, either a video or an image for an iPhone, for a Samsung, for a Google, for a MacBook, for a Chromebook. Like you're creating ads for these very, very specific places where it's very easy to like understand how consumers interact with them and how it works. AR is going to be a game changer. Like AR is going to be a game changer because now it's adding a digital lens on top of reality everywhere you go. And that's going to be an always on display, basically 24/7 for somebody's life. Think about like, obviously people have phone addictions and they're looking at this most of the day throughout the day. but they still got to go down and look at it. They still put it down from time to time. With AR glasses, like people are going to be wearing those if it's a prescription like 24/7, or at least most of the time, and so it's just always on, kind of always in your face, and just the type of ads you're going to run there, what that's going to look like. How do you create ads for that? Like how do you? It's a totally new medium, and so it's going to have a massive new learning curve, massive new challenges, massive new opportunities. But just think about like you're walking down the street and you're passing Starbucks. You're going to Starbucks, and it's into your iPhone, linked to everything, so it knows you have your Starbucks app on there. It knows your account, knows you're a loyal customer, it knows you have credits. You walk by, a little thing pops up right in front of you, in front of Starbucks, visualization over the door, almost like a digital billboard. Hey, you just got, come in, get 20 extra Starbucks points today when you come in, max, and also we'll give you a free coffee. Like there's so much opportunity, whether you drive by McDonald's or Starbucks or whatever. Like it's hard to wrap your head around, but to me, that's way more exciting in the near term because it's happening. It's going to happen now, and it's going to be mass adopted now. Whereas going back to the kind of full circle with the video with ChatGPT and OpenAI and all this stuff, very, very exciting, massive opportunities. But I think we're so early in it. People are kind of, you're putting the cart before the horse. Like it's going to take a while. It's going to take like an Apple to roll something out mainstream before we're actually talking about this in a serious way for businesses. Right now, like spend some of your attention, some of your time that you're spending on looking at AI and ChatGPT, allocate 20% of it to thinking about Apple's ad platform, to thinking about AR and what that means and kind of that medium of how you can advertise in that world. Because that's going to be here sooner, in my opinion, mass adopted, and that's going to have a bigger impact on your business in the short and the long term. So again, controversial opinion, I know. What I'm curious about is what you think, right? Do you agree with me? Do you think ChatGPT is a little overhyped right now? Do you not think it's as game changing? Do you think it's going to be, it's more of like a little crutch than actually game changing innovation for marketers? Or do you disagree with me? Do you think this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, that this is the future of everything and it's going to happen right away and I'm just missing it? Either way, I'd love to hear your opinion. Drop a comment below, and as always, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you get all my videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.